CD2 Track 1. 1.
I'll never forget the first time my friends and I went camping in the wild. We put our tent up and were going to make a fire when we heard some strange noises in the bushes behind us. The noises were getting louder and louder, and we were getting more and more scared. It was dark, so we couldn't see much. We couldn't find our torch either. I took my mobile phone out to use it as a torch, but the battery was low and it went dead. We all felt terribly frightened. The noises stopped eventually, but we couldn't sleep at all after that.
2.
It'd be great to travel around the world by motorbike. I'm not old enough to do it, but as soon as I feel I'm ready for this challenge, I'll do it. Imagine all the freedom you have when you travel like that. You can stop wherever you like and meet lots of interesting people, as well as see places people normally don't see. When you travel by plane, you miss so much, and that's why I'd love to travel by motorbike, just to see as much as possible.
CD2 Track 2. 1.
This is information for passengers wishing to travel to the centre of London. We are sorry, but due to a very serious accident, all our services have been cancelled until 4 p.m. today. All passengers are advised to use underground trains to get to their final destinations. The nearest tube station is to the left of this terminal. Our drivers will help as much as possible with carrying your luggage. We are sorry for this inconvenience.
2.
I was on holiday in Turkey with my girlfriend. One of our planned trips was to Istanbul, and we were looking forward to it. We knew the city was big and full of tourists, but we didn't expect it to be so terribly noisy. So after a couple of hours there, we decided to leave and go on a cruise on the Bosphorus. It was a sensible decision because we really had a great time on the boat. We met a Turkish couple and spent some time with them. We even learnt some Turkish. Sometimes it's good not to stick to your schedule.
3.
I'd lived in London for years before moving to Paris last year, so I thought I was used to masses of cars everywhere. I felt okay about driving in the rush hour. I listened to the radio or my MP3 player, and I didn't complain about the traffic jams. It all changed when I started living in the French capital. It's been a year, and I still can't stand the number of cars in the city centre, the road system here, and the French drivers, who are terribly impatient.
4.
We went to Prague by train. The journey there was a bit tiring, but the weekend was just fantastic. We visited a lot of places, tried some lovely food and met great people. We were supposed to catch a train back, but we overslept and missed it. There was no other train until the next day, so we had no other option but to hitchhike back home. I felt a bit scared at first, but in the end, it was an unforgettable experience.
CD2 Track 3.
1. With us in the studio is Mark Smith. Mark owns an online travel agency which offers unusual holidays and is here today to tell us about them. Welcome, Mark.
Hello, and thank you for inviting me.
Mark, has much changed in the way we travel or spend our holidays in recent years?
Oh yes. In the last decade, we've witnessed a few new trends emerging, which doesn't astonish me at all. People have become fed up with package tours and are now trying to experience something new. So they look for more unusual types of holiday breaks and accommodation. A lot of people seek an adrenaline rush and want holidays which will pose some kind of challenge to them rather than just a rest. And it's here to stay.
Wow, I thought holidays had been invented to help us switch off and relax. What challenges do you have in mind?
Well, for a start, people have taken to hitchhiking again, and it isn't for financial reasons only. It's for fun. And I must say I'm delighted with this development because I think it gives people lots of freedom and teaches them independence. These days it's called carpooling or lift sharing, and it works fantastically well because of the internet and sites like iThumb, for example. Basically, you look for a lift online.
I must admit I feel a bit doubtful about the idea of hitchhiking. Isn't it a bit risky, especially for young people?
Travellers always take some risks, and the modern version of hitchhiking seems quite safe to me. Lift-sharing sites are very popular these days. They let their readers leave feedback for each other and encourage them to look at each other's social networking profiles. The best idea for me, however, is the fact that the websites check the driving licenses so that every hitchhiker knows who is giving them a lift.
Maybe, but I'd still be in two minds about it. You also mentioned less typical types of holidays and unusual accommodation. What did you mean by that?
For example, more and more people want to go on so-called charity holidays, where they can help those in need. They build shelters or educate those less well off, instead of lying on the beach and doing nothing. I went on a holiday like that last year, and frankly speaking, it was the most incredible time of my life. I felt so useful, and I believe I really made a change to the people I was working with. I didn't even feel tired.
Wow, how extraordinary! And it probably was quite a cheap holiday.
Not quite. Just the opposite. But I didn't mind paying towards those shelters.
Yes, I understand. And the unusual accommodation you mentioned?
More and more often, people opt for farm stays, beach huts, Indian teepees, or even igloos.
Back to basics, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Travelling and means of transport. Airport terminal. Bicycle. Board the plane. Boarding pass. Boat. Bus. Bus stop. Buy a ticket. Cancelled. Car. Carriage. Catch a bus. Change trains. Check in your luggage. Check in. Coach. Coach station. Compartment. Delayed. Departure lounge. Economy. Fare. Ferry. Ferry terminal. First class. Gate. Get on a train. Give someone a lift. Go through customs. Helicopter. Land. Line. Lorry. Luggage rack. Miss a bus. Motorbike. Motorway. Passenger. Passport control. Pedestrian. Plane. Platform. Print out a ticket. Public transport. Railway. Railway station. Return. Scooter. Ship. Single. Take a bus. Taxi rank. Taxi. Cab. Ticket. Ticket office. Traffic jam. Traffic lights. Train. Tram. Truck. Underground. Underground station. Van. Waiting room. Yacht. Articulated lorry. Ask for directions. Baggage reclaim. Cable car. Cancel a booking. Crossing. Cruise liner. Deck. Double-decker. Fill up. 4x4. Get a speeding ticket. Get an upgrade. Get lost. Get stuck in. Harbour. Have a puncture. Hitchhiking. Keep to the speed limit. Lane. Level crossing. Narrowboat. Overhead locker. Roundabout. Runway. Rush hour. Sailing boat. Season ticket. Signal failure. Ski lift. Speedboat. Speed camera. Sports car. Take pills. Track. Travel sickness. Tunnel. Upgrade to first class. Wear a seatbelt. Tourist information. Accommodation. Admission charge. Attractions. Book a ticket. Brochure. Contact number. Cultural events. Follow directions. Local. Make a reservation. Map. Opening times. Place of interest. Places of natural beauty. Sightseeing tour. Timetable. Tourist Information Office. Travel on a tight budget. Accommodation. Bed and breakfast. Book in advance. Boutique hotel. Cabin. Campervan. Caravan. Check-in. Dog-friendly. Double room. Ensuite. Facilities. 5-star. Fully booked. Guest house. Holiday resort. Host family. Hostel. Hotel. Included. Last minute. Last minute holiday. Deal. Mobile home. Motel. Put up a tent. Rent a villa. Self-catering. Share a room. Single room. Suite. Tent. Twin-bedded room. Vacancies. Youth hostel. Yurt. Trips and sightseeing. Adventure holiday. All-inclusive holiday. Architectural interest. Of architectural interest. Backpacking. Beach holiday. Bridge. Castle. Cathedral. City break. Climbing. Cruise. Cycling. Deserted. Excursion. Flight. Gallery. Guard. Hiking. Hire a car, bike. Holiday representative. Journey. Leaflet. Monument. Museum. Nature reserve. Package holiday. Palace. Passenger. Safari. Sailing. Scuba diving. Souvenir hunting. Statue. Suntan lotion. Sunbathing. Surfing. Theme park. Ticket inspector. Tour. Tour guide. Tourism. Tourist. Travel. Trekking. Trip. Voyage. Winter holiday. Write postcards. Ancient. Architectural wonder. Boat trip. Breathtaking view. Budget. Bus tour. Business trip. Day trip. Direct flight. Full day excursion. Glamping. Guided tour. Half day excursion. Historic. Holidaymaker. Mild. Long haul flight. Ruins. Sandy beach. Scorching temperatures. Sheer cliff. Staycation. Surrounding area. Thrilling ride. Travel arrangements. Winding road. Accidents. Ambulance. Breakdown. Call an ambulance, the police, a doctor. Crash. Emergency. Get lost. Get sunburned. Lifebelt. Lifeboat. Luggage. Life jacket. Rescue. Rescue services. Safety instructions. Seat, safety belt. Sick. Survive. Come down with a bug. Fire drill. Give first aid. Have a narrow escape. Run somebody over. Other. Blood. Can't stand. Drift off. Economic benefits. Follow something. Gasp. Go about daily business. Inconvenience. Lie. Pick up. Stick to the schedule. Towel. Unforgettable. Visible. Breathe a sigh of relief. Capacity. Exhausted. Frankly. Guaranteed. Landscaped. Occur to. Opt for. Patch. Pile. Remnants. Seek. Sigh. Switch off. Vast. Well off.
CD2 Track 4. 1.
I'd like to take this opportunity to invite you all to the book festival which is taking place this Saturday in the main exhibition centre. The festival always attracts a lot of famous book authors, so you'll have the chance to meet them and get their autographs. However, the main idea behind the festival is to discover new talents among school and university students. If you feel ready to write a short story, come to the festival and take part in our competition. If you win, your story will be published by all major publishers. Don't miss this golden opportunity to become famous.
2.
So, Barbara, what types of books do you read most often?
Well, I read everything and anything. I couldn't imagine my life without books. I read every day and everywhere, even on the way to school or during school break. I don't mind any types of stories, but what I dislike are books available only electronically. Some authors only publish their books like that, and then I don't read them no matter how good they might be. Call me old-fashioned, but that's what I do.
3.
Some people say that young people will only be interested in easy-to-read stories full of action, like thrillers. It's true of some youngsters, but I think that the majority of young readers will be looking for something fresh. The vampire craze will eventually disappear, and I believe it will be replaced by some new trends. Although thrillers and vampire stories will still appeal to some readers, most young people will be reading new versions of children's stories. The stories will be retold to suit a more adult-like audience. Anyway, books won't lose their appeal, which is the most important thing.
4.
Do you think that people will be going to the cinema in the future?
Well, I hope so. I can't imagine my life without the cinema. Watching films on DVD or the internet is not the same as on the big screen, is it?
No, not at all. But when I look at how many people sit next to me in the cinema, it makes me worry. Sometimes I'm even the only person there.
Yes, it's happened to me too. But I heard from a friend who owns a small cinema that after years of fascination with DVDs and home cinemas, people are coming back.
Good news then, because some brilliant film directors would lose their jobs otherwise, and I wouldn't be able to watch their movies anymore.
5.
Generally speaking, I'm interested in all forms of art. Recently, I've become very keen on the theatre, mainly because of my best friend who keeps inviting me to various theatre shows. She likes musicals and comedies, but I find them a bit uninteresting. What I discovered are the theatre adaptations of different books, which I enjoy watching the most. The stories are familiar to me and I can see the action on stage rather than just imagine it as I read the story. It's a fantastic feeling.
6.
Mark, do you prefer modern or traditional art?
I'm not sure I find art interesting in the first place. Maybe music or the cinema. And you?
Just the opposite. I'm into art and I spend my weekends taking part in cultural events of all kinds. Why don't you come along one day?
Maybe, but what would we do?
Well, last weekend I enjoyed a visit to an art exhibition showing modern paintings, and then I visited the Museum of Cartoons. Both were great, although I preferred the first one. The pieces of art were very imaginative, more than the cartoons.
Well, I don't think it'd interest me too much, I'm afraid.
What a shame.
CD2 Track 5.
Matthew, have you seen anything interesting in the cinema recently? I thought you could recommend something.
To be honest, I haven't been to the cinema for the last 2 months. There's nothing on that would interest me. There have been a few sci-fi films, but they didn't get very good reviews, so I didn't go to see them. It would have been a waste of time. And as you know, I'm not too keen on action movies or thrillers anymore.
No, actually I didn't know. What happened? You used to be mad about them.
Yes, I did, but I've gone off them. They've become too predictable. As soon as the film starts, you know how it's going to end. Plus, there's too much violence, and the special effects are no longer special, if you know what I mean.
Not exactly.
Well, they're just the same as they were in other movies before. There's nothing new about them. Just the same gunfights or car chases.
I see. So how do you spend your free time now?
You aren't going to believe me. I've taken up artistic photography.
Wow. What or who do you photograph?
I'm learning to take interesting photos of people in different situations and places. When I finish my course and get some experience, I'd love to work with famous and accomplished actors or film directors.
Typical you, never too far away from the world of culture. And who's teaching you?
I've signed up on a course in our arts college. We've got a number of teachers who are both professional and amateur photographers. I learn a lot from them.
It sounds exciting. Do you go to photo exhibitions as well?
Sure. Last week I went to the local gallery to see photos of dancers taken by some Spanish photographers. I was really impressed. It isn't easy to photograph people who are moving, and those photos captured the moment very well.
So maybe next time you plan to visit an exhibition, you could ring me up and we could go together.
Of course. I'll let you know what's on next week.
Thanks. See you then.
See you.
CD2 Track 6. 1,
I'd like to begin by asking you how many times this year you've read a book, watched a film in the cinema, been to the theatre, or a museum. When asked this very question, most people struggle to answer it or give examples of their cultural pursuits. It fills my heart with great sadness when I hear that people no longer participate in so-called cultural life. It looks like the TV and the internet have replaced the more traditional forms of art for good. The idea that the modern media can offer people the same quality entertainment as the cinema, theatre or books is just a fallacy. Watching a film at home will never give you the same thrill as watching the same movie on the big screen. While reading an e-book will never allow you to enjoy the story as much as reading it in the paper version. They're just poor, unimaginative replacements of the real thing. What will become of art if these trends continue really horrifies me. The thought that real books or real cinemas may vanish makes me sad and angry. Let's unite to fight against these trends. Read books in their traditional form and watch films in cinemas.
2,
Not many choreographers have had so many famous and highly acclaimed ballet performances to their name as Kieran Plath. His dance performances are always masterpieces of the highest artistic value, admired by millions of people all over the world. His latest creation would have been no different if it wasn't for the rather unappealing music, which was an unfortunate combination of modern jazz and hip-hop, which many in the audience found somewhat difficult to follow. Personally, I believe Plath wanted to surprise his followers and chose music which would wake the people up and make them reflect on what makes modern ballet so unreachable sometimes. The rest was just perfect. The dancers glided on the stage, dressed in beautifully made costumes. All in all, an unusual performance for me.
3,
Who would have thought a few years ago that art workshops would become popular among young people ever again? All hope was lost when about 10 years ago, all the major newspapers published statistics saying that only 1 in 10 art clubs in our city had groups of youngsters learning crafts. However, after a decade of indifference to art, young people are beginning to appreciate it again. I've heard that the clubs are reopening to teach teenagers and young adults things like clothes design, pottery, decoupage, or jewelry making. So I decided to investigate how popular it really is. To my amazement, the clubs were full of people trying their hand at various crafts. When I asked the participants why they were into crafts, they said they were keen to learn something practical. Some added that they hoped to turn their passion into a business one day. I was pleased to hear their comments, and even more delighted to watch young generations far away from their computer screens.
CD2 Track 7. 1,
When I think of myself now, it's hard to believe I read so many books. When I was younger, I would refuse to read anything, not to mention any novels or even short stories. My parents would keep buying books for me to read, and I would avoid reading them like the plague. I considered reading terribly dull and time-consuming. None of my friends were keen on books either, so it just reinforced my belief that books weren't for young people. And then, one day, I bumped into a friend of mine who was going to a meeting with a famous book author. He told me to come along if I had nothing better to do, so I did. I sat in the audience and listened to the writer read parts of his latest novel. I was mesmerized by what he read, and I wanted to find out what happened in the story and how it ended. I got the book, and guess what? I read it in one sitting. It was so exciting. Since then, I've been a very regular visitor to my local bookshop.
2.
Books have always been part and parcel of my life. My parents worked as teachers of English literature at the university, so our house was always full of books and people discussing the most recent novels, short stories, or poems. So it isn't surprising that reading books means so much to me. Every time I open a book, I feel like I'm entering a new reality inhabited by fascinating characters. Books develop my imagination, help me understand the world, and what's most important, they allow me to forget about my everyday worries which vanish as soon as I get into the story. I read all the time and everywhere I go. I meet other bookworms and we go on talking about what we've read for hours on end. It's just my life.
3.
I feel indebted to my English teacher for introducing me to the world of books. I was very lucky to have Miss Thompson as my English teacher for over 6 years. She was the most incredible person, very knowledgeable, and absolutely passionate about literature. She would recommend books, encourage us to read as much as possible, organise meetings with famous authors, and run our theatre group twice a week. Her love for books was infectious, and I remember that she managed to get everybody involved in her ideas and actions. The only trouble was that reading took up most of our time, so we had little of it left for the other subjects, and I often lagged behind with maths or sciences. I even once failed my biology exam because of my rehearsals.
4.
I don't understand why so many people don't read books and say that books are boring. There are millions of books, and everybody is bound to find one that will interest them. I think the problem with people not liking books starts at school, when children and teenagers are forced to read set books they find completely uninteresting. With time, they totally lose interest and give up on books, which is a shame. Something must be done to stop that, or people will never discover the beauty of reading. Maybe instead of wading through the set texts, every student should read 5 or 6 books of their own choice and present them to the rest of the class. Or maybe some extracts of the books should be read aloud in the classroom to promote reading as such. Any solution will be a good one, in fact, as long as it prevents books from disappearing from our lives.
Forms of culture. Architecture. Ballet. Dance. Drama. Film. Graffiti. Literature. Music. Opera. Painting. Photography. Poetry. Sculpture. Theatre. Brilliant. Classical. Easy to read. Fresh. Great. Imaginative. Light. Live. Modern. Predictable. Romantic. serious, traditional, uninteresting, artists and their work, actor, actress, architect, author, ballerina, band, breakdancer, cameraman, choir, composer, conductor, dancer, designer, director, guitarist, musician, novelist, painter, photographer, playwright, poet, sculptor, singer, writer, busker, comedian, cartoonist, choreographer, disc jockey, DJ, illustrator, pavement artist, scriptwriter, stuntman, voiceover artist, 3D, act, adaptation, album, bestseller, blockbuster, cast, chapter, character, costume, cover, curtain, drawing, entertainment, extra, game, hit, index, interval, landscape, lyrics, makeup, oil painting, orchestra, paperback, performance, play, plot, poem, portrait, program, scene, script, self-portrait, set, sketch, soundtrack, special effects, still life, symphony, trilogy, tune, Tune in. Blurb. Chorus. Close-up. Illustration. Sequel. Adventure. Animated film. Animation. Ballroom dancing. Blues. Cartoon. Comedy. Comic. Crime. Documentary. Drama. Fantasy. Fiction. Historical. Horror. Jazz. Limerick. Musical. Non-fiction. Pop. Pop music. Psychological thriller. Rock. Rom-com. Science fiction. Short story. Spy. Thriller. Tragedy. Tragic. Urban music. Western. Autobiographical novel. Autobiography. Blank verse. Blues music. Classical music. Detective fiction. Epic poem. Fairy tale. Folk music. Graphic novel. Participating in cultural events. Act in. Art exhibition. Award ceremony. Box office. Do badly at the box office. Cello. Come up with. Concert hall. Cross out. Dance in time to. Drum. Festival. Flute. Gallery. Guitar. Instrument. Leading role. Learn by heart. Library. Live gig. Look out for. Make up. New release. Opening night. Opera house. Piano. Play an instrument. Publisher. Rhyme with. Run down. saxophone, sell out, stage, stand in for, stand out, street festival, studio, take over, take a picture of, tambourine, trumpet, venue, violin, win an award, xylophone, audience, audition, autograph,
Oparty na.
boo, bookworm, bore to death, can't put something down, cast a play, caught up in a story, charity auction, cheer, clap, contestant, critic, do research for, excellent read, first edition, get it right, ghostwriter, give someone nightmares, glued to the screen, learn your lines, make notes, on the edge of your seat, play a role, character, put on a show, record an album, rehearsal, review, shortlist someone for something, spectator, stage fright, standing ovation, steal the show, supporting actor, title role, turn off, understudy, viewer, write up, mass media, advertisements, article, breaking news, column, columnist, cover page, daily, deadline, essay, feature, front page, headline, issues, local interest, local news, magazine, newsflash, newspaper, paparazzi, paragraph, press, Readers. Reporter. Small ads. Subtitles. Tabloid. Weekly. Caption. Circulation. Comic strip. Coverage. Obituary. Television. Broadcast. Cable TV. Caption. Celebrity. Channel. Chat show. Circulation. Commercial. Credit. Coverage. Dub. Episode. Feature. Game show. Host. Interview. Microphone. News presenter. Producer. Program. Radio. Reality TV show. Serial. Series. Soap opera. Station. Other. Accomplished. Alike. Ban. Blame. Gap. Go off. Impressed by. Mad about. Member. Minority. Sign up. Take place. Take part. Take an opportunity. Taste. Appreciate. Crucial. Cultural pursuit. Distracted. Expectant. Fallacy. Highly acclaimed. Masterpiece. Mesmerized. Replacement. Try your hand at. Unappealing. Unreachable. Well read. Vanish.
CD2 Track 8. 1.
I'm not really interested in sport. I don't watch many sports competitions on TV or follow what's going on in the world of sport. But when my friend asked me if I wanted to visit Wembley Stadium in London, I couldn't say no to his suggestion. I'd heard a lot about this almost legendary place, so I decided to go. What I saw there was just amazing. The place is absolutely huge, very modern and really well looked after. I just wished there had been a match so that I could experience the real atmosphere of this incredible venue. My friend promised to take me to watch a match there one day, but he said it wasn't easy to get the tickets. I'll wait as long as it takes.
2.
I never liked my PE lessons at school. I guess it was because we had to play team sports all the time, and I just wasn't good at them. When I left my school and went to university, I discovered that the PE classes were exactly the same. We had to play either volleyball or basketball, so I gave up again. Then, by chance, I met a girl who felt like me. She didn't like team sports, so instead she took up running. She encouraged me to have a go at it, and I must say that after a couple of weeks, I was out running in the park with her. I felt so much fitter and happier.
3.
My father keeps saying that people who don't do sports are the most stressed out individuals in the world. He believes that through physical activity, you get rid of all the bad emotions in your life. I believe it too, so if you want to feel more energetic, healthier, and relaxed, don't hesitate to take up a sport. Practice it regularly, and you'll see the benefits very soon. Join a sports club if you don't know how to go about it. A professional trainer will help you design the best fitness program.
4.
I'd always loved sports and I'd always wanted to play basketball. So I was very happy when I learnt that there was a new sports club in my city which ran basketball training. I rang them up and signed up. There were 7 of us during the first training session and everything was going well until 2 new boys joined the team. They were much better than the rest of us, so our coach spent most of the time working with them. Soon the boys' friends joined the club too, and I didn't feel good enough to play with them in the same team, so I gave up. My dream to be a basketball player hasn't yet come true.
CD2 Track 9. 1.
Attention, attention. Here are a few announcements regarding your PE classes. It's about our new gym. As you know, it's up and running. It's been done up and has a lot of new equipment. So we would like to encourage all of you to join it. The first 50 members will get a free basketball. Let me remind you that the gym is in a different part of the school now. It's next to the teacher's canteen, where the chemistry lab used to be. Don't wait, join it now.
2.
It happened when I was in Italy with my parents. We went skiing every day and we had a really great time. On our last day, we decided to ski as long as possible, and the accident happened in the evening. Actually, there were 2 accidents. First of all, another skier crashed into me because he'd lost his balance. I was okay after that, so I carried on skiing. But after about an hour, I was lying on the snow with my leg badly broken. My parents blamed me for skiing too fast, but it wasn't my fault. I think it was my boots that came undone, which caused all the trouble.
3.
So what did you think of the match?
I thought they played really badly, didn't you? They made one mistake after another.
Yes, I agree. They played like amateurs. Some of them looked unfit and tired, so I have no idea why the coach decided to include them in the first team.
I don't know either. If I was the coach, I'd have made some changes to the team. We needed players who could run and score goals, not players who were half asleep.
Correct. Maybe the next match will be better and less frustrating to watch.
I hope so.
4.
Robert, have you heard about Victor and his bungee jump?
Yes, I have. I must say I was impressed. Victor seems such a shy boy. I never thought he could do something so risky.
Risky? These jumps are safe. I mean, they look dangerous, but I don't think you can die or get injured. They look so exciting to watch.
I know a lot of people find them exciting, but I'm not one of them. I agree that extreme sports are thrilling to watch, but at the same time, I think they are far too risky. I've heard of many accidents and really bad injuries.
Have you? I haven't. Oh well, I'm going to try bungee jumping too. If Victor can do it, so can I.
You must be joking.
5.
I've always liked winter sports. I guess it's because I live close to the mountains, where we get a lot of snow and have great sports venues to do them. My older brother used to play ice hockey, and I remember being fascinated by his skating skills. I learned how to skate, and for a while I did figure skating in our local club. But then I discovered snowboarding. I looked at snowboarders in total amazement and dreamt of learning how to do it. I had a few lessons and it turned out that I was very good at it, better than at figure skating, so it has become my favourite discipline until I discover something else.
6.
Hi, Peter. How was the match?
Just fantastic! I could watch it all over again. We beat the other team in really great style. I was so proud of my team.
Sounds terrific. What's next in your busy sports life? You were once talking about going to watch motor racing in Italy or Germany.
Yes, I remember, but I'm no longer keen on that. Now my biggest dream is to watch live sports like the pole vault, the high jump or relay. But I have to wait until the summer.
Wow, what a change of plan.
CD2 Track 10.
Sandra Hutchinson is our new guest. Sandra is mad about kitesurfing and she's going to tell us all about this unusual new sport. Hello, Sandra.
Hello, everyone.
I've heard of kite flying, but what exactly is kite surfing?
As the name suggests, it's a hybrid sport. It combines surfing with kite flying. If I may, I'd like to clarify one point. The sport may be less than ordinary, but as a matter of fact, it's been around for quite a while.
How astonishing! So when was it invented? About 10 or 20 years ago?
Actually, it dates back to the 13th century. It wasn't a sports discipline then, but the Chinese used it as a means of transport. They used kites to take advantage of the wind to gather energy to power their canoes. So the technology, if I may say so, is pretty ancient.
How interesting. I guess it's quite popular too.
Incredibly so.
Is it a sport for everyone? Is it easy to learn?
Well, kitesurfing is relatively simple when compared to other water sports such as surfing or windsurfing, but it's still a fairly dangerous sport. So if you want to minimize the risks, you should opt for some training before you do it by yourself. For example, you ought to learn escape techniques which are very useful when you're in trouble. You also need to find out how to surf safely without posing a danger to the other surfers around you.
So it isn't a sport for everyone, is it?
Hardly. You've got to be fit, strong, and have excellent concentration. But it's a sport to learn physics through.
What do you mean?
Because you can learn about aerodynamics and Newton's law of motion in a more enjoyable way than by sitting in the classroom and reading your tedious physics book. Unfortunately, schools are not so keen on that.
Understandable in many ways, isn't it? Is kitesurfing likely to become an Olympic discipline?
It almost did, but was rejected in the end. It was supposed to replace windsurfing at the Rio de Janeiro Olympic Games, but the idea didn't take off. I guess it's because the sport isn't yet massively popular, but we are still hopeful that one day we'll be able to compete at the Olympic Games.
Best of luck. Thank you, Sandra.
You're welcome.
CD2 Track 11. 1.
My adventure with martial arts goes back to the time when my grandfather was still around. He was a very principled man who believed that hard work, sacrifice and patience would make you a good person. He happened to be a karate instructor who would try to encourage everyone to take up his beloved sport. Initially, I wasn't very willing, as I didn't see myself as a fighter, but my grandfather explained to me that karate wasn't just about fighting, but more a philosophy of life. I didn't understand much then, but I gave it a go and fell in love with the sport. I've just won a very important competition. My granddad would be proud of me.
2.
I took up martial arts a long time ago, and I've never felt bored of them. I do jiu-jitsu and aikido, and I think I'm pretty good at them. Now I treat them as my passion, but when I started, I had other motives. I needed to learn sports like this for self-defense, because a week before I had my first aikido class, I had been mugged in the street. I'd felt so helpless and unable to fight the mugger that I decided to do something about it, and I've succeeded. I feel more confident now walking back home at night. But above all, I feel extremely fit. I'd say everyone should learn a sport like that for more than one reason.
3.
I don't get why so many people do martial arts. These are violent sports where people fight, kick, and punch each other. Even their name suggests war, as its etymology is Arts of Mars. Mars being the ancient Roman god of war. What can be good about fighting other people? I keep hearing that young people learn to respect others, acquire concentration, and keep fit doing these sports, but to my mind, all these sports do is teach young people that violence pays off. My nephew has had some behavioural problems, and his parents were told that they should send him to karate lessons to help him relieve the tension. So they did, and guess what happened? After a few weeks, the boy punched another boy at school. Martial arts are not sports activities for kids, and I wonder how long it'll take before people understand it.
4.
I once watched the animated movie called Kung Fu Panda with my younger brother. I know it sounds funny, but the film made me think about the limits of the human body. And in fact, prompted me to read more about martial arts as such. I began to read about their history and got more and more involved in their philosophy of life. I keep watching other more serious films about Kung Fu, and I must admit, I finally discovered what I want to do with my life. My interest in martial arts has stunned everyone, including my best friends. I've always been perceived as a quiet and shy person, a bookworm type rather than someone who is likely to take up Kung Fu. I'm a bit overweight, so I guess I'm not astonished that they sell me like that. But I'm changing now and I'll be a real Kung Fu master one day.
Types of sport. Aerobics. Archery. Athletics. Badminton. Baseball. Basketball. Billiards. Boxing. Bridge. Canoeing. Chess. Climbing. Cricket. Cycling. Discus. Diving. Football. Golf. Gymnastics. Hammer throw. Hockey. Horse racing. Jockey. Jogging. Judo. Martial arts. Motor racing. Racing. Rollerblading. Rowing. Rugby. Running. Sailing. Shooting. Shot put. Skating. Ski jump. Snooker. Soccer. Swimming. Tennis. Volleyball. Weightlifting. Windsurfing. Wrestling. Biathlon. Cross-country skiing. Curling. Decathlon. Heptathlon. High jump. hurdles, javelin, long jump, obstacle race, pole vault, relay race, triathlon, extreme sports, base jumping, bungee jumping, caving, free running, gliding, kitesurfing, motocross, parachuting, paragliding, scuba diving, skydiving, water skiing, whitewater rafting, zorbing, athlete, basketball player, boxer, canoeist, climber, cricketer, cyclist, diver, footballer, golfer, gymnast, racing driver, rower, rugby player, runner, sailor, tennis player, volleyball player, wrestler, boxing ring, course, golf course, court, field, gym, pitch, ice rink, pool, slope, stadium, track, basket, bat, baseball bat, table tennis bat, board, boots, bow, cap, club, discus, gloves, goal, goggles, helmet, net, oar, pads, racket, skates, tracksuit, trainers, weights, wetsuit, sporting events, beat, break a record, bring on, captain, catch up with, Championships. Cheer. Coach. Come first, last. Competition. Contest. Cup. Defender. Draw with. Enter a competition. Event. Fight. Final. Game. Give up. Goalkeeper. Heat. Hit a ball. Individual. Judge. Junior. Knockout. Lose. Manager. Match. Medal. Miss a chance. Olympics. Opponent. Penalty area. Play for, against. Race. Record. Referee. Runner-up. Score a goal, point. Send off. Sprint. Striker. Take a lead. Take part. Take up. Team. Tournament. Train, trainer. Trophy. Umpire. Win by. All-rounder. Approach the line. Audience. Ball is out. Build up a lead. Clear water. Cross the line. Defending champion. Double fault. Drop the baton. False start. Final score. Final whistle. First service. Football League. Foul. Free kick. Get a good start. Give a good talking to. Half a length. Half time. Halfway point. Hat trick. Hit the bar. Hole in one. Home, away, win. In top form. Keep this up. Narrow the gap. Neck and neck. No jump. On top form. Personal best. Photo finish. Pit stop. Podium. Prize money. Pull ahead. Qualify for. Rest of the field. Retain a title. Round. Second year running. Spectator. Sprint finish. Succeed. Win by a head. Competitive sport. Amateur. Endorse a product. Go professional. Highest paid. Match fixing. Promoted. Relegated. Semi-professional. Transfer fee. Other. Advice. Ancient. Checkmate. Cheer on. Come true. Conquer. Crash into. Deal. Do someone a favor. Do your best. Follow. For example, a sports team or a competition. Get rid of. Give someone a hand. Go on. Haggis. Hesitate. Impression. Lead. Look up to. Lose balance. Keep fit. Make progress. Make sure. Be put off something. Put up with. Stand out from. Stick to. Stressed out. String. Take pride in. Make a decision. Undo boots. Work out. Worth. Astonishing. Beloved. Conviction. Cope with. Countless. Duration. Friction. Get down to. Give something a go. Grueling. Helpless at. Involved in. Keep one's word. Massively popular. Be massively popular. Ordinary. Punch. Stunned. Tedious. Willing.
CD2 Track 12. 1.
Attention, please. Before you leave the bus, please make sure you remember to take all your belongings. You are kindly requested to proceed to Gate 1, just over there, behind the car park. This is where you're going to board the ferry. Please also make sure you have your passports and tickets ready. When you board, you'll be given your cabin number. I suggest you leave your luggage in your cabin and go to dinner. The journey will last just under 4 hours. When we get to our destination, I'll be waiting for you in the arrivals hall. Thank you and have a safe crossing.
2.
Jessica, you always look so cool. Where do you buy your clothes?
Oh, thank you. I actually get most of my clothes in second-hand shops. I have my favourite ones, which I visit once a week.
Wow, you look as if you shopped in expensive boutiques rather than cheap second-hand shops. Why do you prefer to buy stuff in those shops?
It's not because of the fact that they are cheaper, as many people think. Bargains are hard to find there these days, but the price isn't my main concern. I just love these shops because you can find unique items of clothing and jewellery, which you can't find anywhere else.
I guess you're right. All those chain stores sell the same clothes, and so everybody looks similar.
Exactly.
3.
I'm really hungry. What shall we have?
Yes, me too. Let's see what's on the menu today.
Okay, but I think it's going to be the usual stuff. Potatoes, meat and vegetables.
Look at this. It looks like beef lasagna. I think I'll have that. And you?
I'll take the same. It's something different. Let's hope there will be enough left by the time our turn comes. It looks like it's popular with the other students too.
I wish there was a greater choice of meals. Perhaps we should talk to the headmaster about it.
A good idea, but now I want my food.
4.
I usually spend my winter holidays in the mountains because I love skiing and snowboarding, so last year wasn't any different. I went to the Alps with my friends. We stayed in a very nice hotel in a small village. The food was fine, and we had a great time skiing, chatting and laughing together, but the best of all was the sunshine we had for the whole 2 weeks. It helped me relax a lot and recharge my batteries like never before. We're going there again in 3 weeks, so I hope I'll be as lucky as I was last time when it comes to the blue sky.
5.
Laura, what would your ideal house be like?
It would definitely have to be situated nearer the city centre than it is now. I find commuting to school every day a bit tiring. I'd like my place to be spacious and full of light. And you?
I've never thought of it, but I guess I wouldn't like to move away from the suburbs like you. I quite like living away from the noise of the city centre. Wouldn't a nice house in the countryside be better?
Oh no, not for me. I don't mind busy places, and I'm not bothered by the noise too much. So a comfortable apartment not too far from the city centre would be perfect.
I see.
6.
I've never been musically talented, but I've always loved music. I'm a true fan of music gigs, and I never miss a good concert in my town. I really relax when I listen to a band playing live. My dream is to learn how to play the guitar, but I'm afraid it's not going to be easy for me. I always envy people who can compose music or write lyrics, but I guess that's impossible too.
CD2 Track 13. 1.
So what do you think about this novel? To be honest, I'm in 2 minds.
Well, I've read it a couple of times and in my view it's quite promising. I mean, I think it'll appeal to the younger adult market. It has a fairly engaging story set in the virtual world, 2 funny characters and it's fast-paced. So I'd say it'll sell well. Obviously, we've got to ask the author to change some things, but I'd give it a chance.
If you say so. There are millions of books of this kind in the bookshops, and from what I know, they've just lost their appeal. Is it worth investing in another one?
This one is a bit different. It's written like a blog and the reader is invited to write his or her comments in the actual book, as if they were submitting their posts. I suggest we go ahead and publish it.
If you think it will get favourable reviews, I'll go along with your decision. Let's hope it will make enough money and, what's more important, win the hearts of the readers.
2.
I'm in front of the Odeon Cinema, in the heart of the city, eagerly awaiting the arrival of the star cast of the sequel to the extremely popular thriller Mysterious Warrior. The red carpet is ready to welcome some of the most highly acclaimed actors, film directors and producers from all over the globe, who have descended on our capital to watch the premiere of this long-awaited sequel. Behind me, as you can see, there are hundreds of fans hoping to catch a glimpse of their beloved characters from the movie. The feelings here are running high. The atmosphere is truly electrifying, and despite the sub-zero temperatures, no one is complaining about the piercing wind. The celebs will definitely receive a warm welcome.
3.
Do you agree with me that music is an underrated subject at schools?
Absolutely. From what I can see these days, artistic subjects count for nothing, and there's very little emphasis on music education. My children have 1 hour of music a week, during which they usually talk about music rather than listen to it. No one is teaching them any appreciation of music, judging by what I hear from my kids. It's very sad.
Yes, I'm with you on that. It's scientifically proven that listening to classical music and playing an instrument boost your general intelligence, memory and imagination. I don't understand why music as a school subject is so neglected.
Well, I see it like this. In this materialistic world in which people compete for better jobs and higher financial status, perhaps there's no place for music education. Who wants to understand musical notes if what you really want are paper notes buying you things in the shops?
I guess you're right.
CD2 Track 14.
So, Natalie, what information about stress have you found that we could include in our presentation?
I found quite a lot about the reasons for stress among teenagers.
What are those reasons?
Apart from the obvious factors like a serious disease or the death of someone close, teenagers are stressed out by high school demands, negative feelings about themselves, changes in their bodies, and more often by taking on too many activities. Teenagers act like their parents, who they copy without realizing it. Parents are busy, and so their children want to be the same.
Interesting. I've never thought about it in that way, but it's true. OK, I've got some information about the effects stress can have on people. For example, too much stress leads to anxiety and even aggression. In many cases, teenagers develop so-called chronic stress syndrome, and this can make them very ill, both physically and mentally, in equal measure.
That sounds good. How about adding something on stress management?
That could be useful. Many young people have little idea about that. Any ideas?
The best advice is to decrease the so-called negative self-talk. Instead of saying, "My life is terrible and it'll never get better," learn to tell yourself, "My life may be hopeless at the moment, but it'll get better if I work at it and ask for help." Don't you think it's a good piece of advice?
Yes, but it's easier said than done. I'd prefer some more practical ideas like taking up a sport or talking to your friends about your problems, etc.
CD2 Track 15. 1.
I've treated all kinds of patients in my life, and some cases were really difficult. Some of my patients have been people who are very active and who believe in themselves, but who, despite all that, feel terribly stressed out. The reason for that is that they take on too much and want to be perfect at everything they do. In the end, they feel unable to fulfill their dream vision of themselves and have a sense of failure. Then they need me to tell them to stop worrying about being top in everything.
2.
I've always looked after my health. I eat well, sleep enough, and exercise as often as possible. I don't get any headaches, and I don't feel stressed out at all. Until last year, I used to play water polo, but for some reason I grew bored with it. I needed to find some other activity. The choice was between working out in the gym and doing yoga, because that's what was on offer in my local health club. I didn't like the first option, so I was left with the other. It's quite fun, actually.
3.
Oh, Kate, you sound sick again. Have you been to the doctors yet?
You know I don't do that unless I'm seriously ill.
So you look for medical advice on the net, like most other people I know.
Don't be silly. I'm not so irresponsible. I'd rather go to see my GP than find some unreliable advice on the net. I actually get in touch with my granny, who's got some wonderful and simple ideas to cure common colds. Her suggestions always work for me.
Maybe you should share them on the net with others.
Haha, very funny.
4.
So, how are you? Are you feeling better?
Not really. I'm feverish and I've got a splitting headache. I've taken some painkillers, but they aren't working. I don't think I can work today. I think I need to go home and just stay in bed. Will you be able to take over today? I've got just 2 surgeries planned for today.
I think so. I've finished mine so I can deal with your patients. I'll let the nurse know that you're taking sick leave.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Get better soon.
5.
A lot of my friends keep saying that I want to study medicine because it's my family tradition to be a doctor. However, it isn't the case. Neither is it because I think it's a fascinating profession. Just the opposite, it's a very demanding job. My real motivation is scientific. I dream of inventing a successful treatment for incurable illnesses to help millions of people in the world.
6.
Are you worried before the operation?
Yes, pretty much so. I know the surgeons here are good, but still I'm afraid something may go wrong. If only I hadn't broken my arm so badly, I wouldn't need to be here. And you? Why are you here? You don't seem to have anything broken.
They need to operate on me again. I sprained my ankle a few months ago, but it hasn't healed. So here I am again.
Oh, poor you.
CD2 track 16. 1.
Now, let me move on to the effective warning signs of acute tension. People who are suffering from it often feel overwhelmed and unable to cope with the reality around them. They display great irritability and moodiness, coupled with a terrible state of agitation and inability to let go of their negative racing thoughts. These signs also include a desire to isolate yourself from the rest of the world. So, as future GPs, you must be aware of all those reactions to be able to diagnose the patients well and offer them the best possible advice. This condition, as I've said previously, is more and more common and is beginning to affect children as young as 8. So, to recap, so far we've had a brief overview of the physical symptoms, such as all kinds of aches and pains and nausea. This was yesterday's talk, just to remind you. Today, we've examined the more emotive symptoms, while tomorrow we shall analyze how chronic distress affects our daily functioning.
2.
Helen, you know what?
What?
You ought to stop feeling so miserable about yourself and your life. You can't carry on like that anymore. Self-pity won't help you feel more self-confident. You've got to change the way you lead your life. Otherwise, you'll be in serious trouble. You'll develop chronic depression or have a heart attack or something like that.
Easier said than done. I can't just stop working and forget about my real-life problems, can I?
No, but you can change your job to one that is less demanding, maybe less well paid, but at the same time less taxing. Working non-stop will get you nowhere, except to hospital. If you listen to my advice, you'll make a huge positive difference to your daily life. A new job won't help you get over your allergy, but it won't be making it worse all the time. One of the reasons why you have it is the tension you feel on a daily basis.
Okay. I'll give it a thought, I promise.
3.
I read an article on what treatments people choose for their illnesses, and I must say I was pretty astonished to find out what I did. The article quotes an expert who says that unconventional medicine is the preferred choice among most people. And this includes going to witch doctors for help. I couldn't believe my eyes when I read that. Such an increase in the interest in alternative medicine really shocked me. The author did not bother to warn people against witch doctors, but instead said that some of them performed miracles, so it was worth trying them out in a serious medical case. To my mind, it's insane. These people pose a great danger to society and should never be listened to. I must admit that the only medicine I trust is conventional medicine. At least it's backed up by science.
CD2, track 17. 1.
Some of my friends said I was off my head when I agreed to go for medicinal leeches to help my blood circulation. To be honest, initially I was in two minds too. It wasn't an obvious decision for me, as such a treatment reminded me of medieval rather than modern medicine. However, after hearing all the pros and cons, I went for it. It wasn't as painful as I'd expected, and it worked, as I'd been reassured by the physician who was doing it. I felt great afterwards. I told my friends how effective it was, but they said they'd never go for a procedure like that.
2.
To be honest, it took me some time to agree to a treatment like that. Not that I was skeptical. I just needed to read up on it and decide whether or not it was for me. I decided to go for it. On the day of the treatment, I had to wear nothing but a pair of trunks and go into a chamber cooled to as much as -15 degrees C for 4 minutes. It was absolute hell for me. I felt like my life was going to end there and then. I knew it would only be a short time, but it felt like an eternity to me. I felt extreme discomfort, and I wanted out. After that, I kept telling my friends to never give it a go, as it was a frightful experience. A bit painful, too.
3.
I'm not sure you've heard of pearl powder treatment. I learnt about this traditional Chinese medicine a few months ago when I was talking to my friend who had skin problems. I was quite unsure whether or not I should go for it, but the method certainly sounded interesting as I'd been having acne problems for years. I'd tried lots of other treatments before and nothing worked. I decided to read up about it, and when I was sure it was safe, I applied the powder from crushed pearls to my face. After the treatment, to my utter astonishment, my skin looked healthier. I'm going to have another treatment next month, so maybe one day my skin will be perfect.
4.
I'd been suffering from backache for a long time. I always blamed my sedentary lifestyle and lack of exercise for that situation. I had a demanding but well-paid job and hardly any time to take care of myself. The pain was increasing and I was beginning to find it hard to walk properly. Once, when I was at a party, I overheard a conversation between two colleagues of mine who were raving about an excellent masseur who worked wonders for people with backache. I joined the conversation, and it didn't take them long to convince me of the benefits of having such a massage. What a sensible decision it was. Physical and mental state. Be allergic to. Dizzy. Feel dizzy. Faint. Feel all right. Unwell. Feel better. I feel sick. Get well. Look well. Pale. Stressed. Weak. Be aching all over. Feel off color. Feel under the weather. Forgetful. Jet-lagged. Puffed out. Shattered. Body parts. Ankle. Arm. Back. Blood. Bones. Bottom. brain, cheek, chest, chin, ear, elbow, eye, eyebrow, eyelash, eyelid, finger, foot, feet, forehead, head, heart, hip, knee, leg, lips, mouth, muscles, neck, nose, shoulder, skin, stomach, thigh, throat, thumb, toe, tongue, tooth, teeth, waist, wrist, gum, joint, kidney, knuckle, liver, lung, palm, ribs, sole, vein. Illnesses, symptoms and treatment. Allergy, antibiotic, backache, bandage, black eye, bleed, blister. Book an appointment with a doctor. Break an arm, a leg. Bruise, bump, burn, cancer, catch a cold, choke, come out in a rash, condition, cough, cough mixture, cut, cream, cut your finger, diabetes, disease. Do some tests. Dress a cut, wound. Earache. Eye drops. Fever. Influenza, flu. Food poisoning. Get over an illness. Go down with. Have a checkup. Have a pain. Somebody has a pain in something. Have an X-ray. Headache. Heart attack. Heart disease. High temperature. Hurt. Illness. Infected. Injection. Injury. Measles. Medicine. Migraine. Mumps. Nose drops. Ointment. Operation. Pain. Painkiller. Pass on to. Pick up. Pill. Plaster. Put your arm, leg in plaster. Rash. Reduce the swelling. Rest your leg. Rub in cream. Runny nose. Scratch. See a doctor. Shake a bottle. Shiver. Side effects. Sore throat. Sprain your ankle. Stomachache. Stroke. Swollen. Symptom. Syndrome. Tablet. Throw up. Tie a bandage. Toothache. Treatment. Tremble. Twist your ankle. Vaccine. Virus. Vomit. Wounded. Write a prescription. Acute tension. Admit someone to hospital. Blinding headache. Blurred vision. Have blurred vision. Contagious disease. Diagnose the problem. Fatal disease. Give someone the once-over. Go on a waiting list. High blood pressure. Irritability. Itchy rash. Make a good recovery. Medicinal leeches. Moodiness. Nausea. Racing thoughts. Splitting headache. Take preventive measures. Torn ligament. Unclear vision. Have unclear vision. Warning signs. Healthy lifestyle. Avoid stress. Bags under the eyes. Be in good shape. Be overweight, underweight. Cut down on. De-stress. Follow a sensible diet. Follow your doctor's advice. Have an early night. Keep fit. Reduce stress. Take up a sport. Vaccination. Vitamin supplements. Well-balanced diet. Workout. The disabled. Blind. Carer. Crutches. Deaf. Disability. Dumb. Guide dog. Independent. Lose your sight, hearing. Mentally, physically disabled. Mentally, physically handicapped. Partially sighted. Walking stick. Wheelchair. Addictions. Addiction. Alcohol. Alcoholic. Be hooked on. Caffeine. Counseling. Depression. Drugs. Gambling. Gaming. Get, be addicted to. Junk food. Prescription drugs. Smoking. Therapy. Trafficking. Clean. Come off a drug. Craving. Get high. Go cold turkey. Rehab center. Take an overdose. Healthcare. Accident and emergency. Ambulance. Clinic. Consult a doctor. Curable. Cure. Dietitian. Examination. First aid. GP. Have an operation. Healthcare. Health center. Home visit. Hospital. Medical advice. Medical checkup. Nurse. Operate on. Operating theatre. Optician. Paramedic. Patient. Pharmacy. Prescription. Prescribe. Recover from. Stretcher. Sufferer. Surgeon. Surgery. Take one's temperature. Take one's blood pressure. Test hearing. Treat. Urgent. Ward. Acupuncturist. Anesthetist. Hypnotherapist. Pediatrician. Physiotherapist. Psychiatrist. Other. Achoo. Argue with someone. Be in two minds about something. Bless you. Bug. Chat. Chamber. Chronic stress. Fill with. Hiccups. Impractical. Incurable. Look after. Look up. Needle. Nosebleed. Overwhelmed. Powder. Cue. Sharp. Slow down. Sneeze. Stare at. Take eyes off someone. Turn. Chronic distress. Cut back on. Fight off. Get by. Go on. Make do with something. Perform miracles. Sedentary lifestyle. Take care of oneself. Turn in. Utter astonishment. Witch doctor.
CD2, track 18. 1.
Okay, so let me explain again. I bought this oven here last weekend. It was discounted and the lady encouraged me to take it, saying that it was the best model available and the best value for money. I was a bit unsure because I didn't know the brand, but I got it in the end. As soon as I got home and used the device, it turned out to be faulty. Unfortunately, I lost the receipt, so I can't prove it comes from here, but I promise it does. I really need one, so could I exchange this model?
2.
I believe technology helps us a lot in life, but personally I'm beginning to have a problem with it. The more gadgets I have, the less I can cope without them. So I'm worried that one day I'll end up surrounded by technology like in a science fiction book, where people live like robots. I depend too much on things like my smartphone or sat-nav and lots of other appliances I've bought.
3.
A lot of people are very pessimistic about the future. They believe technology will completely take over our lives and we will turn into robots with chips in our heads. Well, I don't. I think it's just a lot of speculation based on some science fiction books or movies. I'm sure people are sensible enough not to let such a futuristic vision come true.
4.
A lot of young people I know rely too much on technology. If they forget their mobile phone, it's as if it was the end of the world. It really annoys me that no one teaches teenagers to live without technology and to use it when they really need it rather than to play games. Like yesterday when I was in a shop. I was waiting in a queue, and before me there was a group of 5 teenagers, all friends, playing games on their phones instead of talking to each other.
CD2, track 19. 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, attention please. Some conference speakers have not arrived and we've had to make a few changes to the program. We will display information about the cancelled sessions on electronic notice boards in the conference centre. The organisers apologise for these cancellations. They do hope that the conference will be successful despite the changes. Thank you for your attention.
2.
When I was younger, I used to love science fiction books, mainly because of my father, who was a great fan. I remember reading only this kind of literature. I guess it was because I loved imagining what life would be like in the future. I always had a positive opinion of them, unlike many of my friends, who didn't like them at all. Now, when I'm a grown-up, I don't read them as often. I guess I'm too old for that kind of stuff, but I still think they aren't too bad. I believe young people should read at least a few before they consider them complete rubbish.
3.
Oh, I didn't expect to see you here. I didn't know you were interested in robots.
How strange to see you here too. I thought you were more into fashion than futuristic trends.
Well, as you can see, first impressions can be very misleading. We've never actually talked at the office before about our interests, have we?
No, you're right, we haven't. We always talk about other stuff. I'm so glad we've got an interest in common that has nothing to do with work. We'll have even more to talk about now.
Yes, isn't it great?
4.
So how did you like the science fair?
Pretty interesting. There were lots of fascinating interactive exhibitions, don't you think?
Yes, but that was hardly surprising. It's always like that, isn't it? But I was absolutely amazed by the prototype of a new robot that could do virtually everything around the house, including doing your homework for you.
I'd seen one like that before on TV, so it didn't impress me so much. However, what really blew me away was the presentation by a 14-year-old who had invented so many things at such a young age. Did you see it?
Yes, that was just incredible. I couldn't agree more.
5.
Just look around. Sometimes I wonder how people used to manage without all of these appliances. I think life must have been terrible.
Maybe it was easier, actually. People had simpler lives and were more independent. Now it's enough for the electricity to go off and the whole world stops. Schools and shops don't work. Offices and hospitals cannot function. Look at you. You're cooking now and the dishwasher is on. If there was a power cut, we would be hungry and the stuff would be dirty and so on.
Yes, but how often do we have power cuts? I'd rather have all this technology to help me than not.
6.
When I was at school, I tried to do my best in all subjects, but soon I discovered that humanities was not for me. I wasn't very good at writing, and remembering historical facts was just beyond me. When it came to physics or chemistry, I never had trouble understanding things, and I just loved all the experiments. Sciences were just less theoretical for me. I even won some science competitions. Some of them were a real challenge.
CD2, track 20.
Welcome back after the break. Just to remind those of you who have just joined us, this week we've been talking to a number of experts about technological advancement in different spheres of life. Today with us in the studio is Daniel Brooks, a physician who has spent his whole career searching for technological solutions in medicine. Daniel's team is renowned all over the country for cutting-edge surgeries and saving many lives. Apart from working in the operating theatre, Daniel also collects and shares information about new treatments with his patients and their families. He's probably the most popular doctor in this country.
Oh, come on. I'm just doing my job the best I can.
And the most modest one, too. Daniel, you've just been taking calls from the listeners, and from what I know, there have been some pretty serious questions to answer. Is that right?
Yes, that's true. It's hardly surprising that people are keen to ask questions about new treatments and new technologies in medicine. I took a lot of calls from patients who are desperate for some innovative treatments for their problems, because no other medicines have been able to help them. Some of the callers were actually doctors themselves asking about the costs of the medical equipment, but they were a minority. Most were people genuinely suffering from all kinds of diseases.
So what technological inventions did you tell the callers about?
For example, a technology which is now under clinical investigation and which will help people with severe migraines. To put it simply, a small implant will be placed in the upper gum, and when the patient feels the onset of a headache, he or she will just have to press a special remote control to stop the pain-causing transmitters.
Sounds wonderful. Anything else?
Yes, this invention will delight patients suffering from diabetes. These people have to take insulin shots by themselves, and it's quite a painful process. A device is being invented to replace the needle used to do it with a patch, which does not prick your skin. Generally speaking, the trends are to come up with devices to alleviate as much pain as possible.
I understand that these new inventions don't come cheap. Who will be able to afford them?
Well, this is always a sensitive issue. I think medical companies always want to make as much as possible from their ideas. But eventually, the devices become standard practice and their price decreases. So there's hope the devices, will one day be mass-produced, and therefore will not only help the wealthy.
Sounds promising. I've also heard of robotic checkups. Could you tell us more about them?
It's connected with so-called telemedicine, which uses robot-like machines to monitor people's health. Robotic checkups are to be run by devices which look like mobile carts with two-way video screens and medical monitoring equipment. They are programmed so that they can move around hospital wards and halls. They will help doctors and nurses by saving them a lot of walking about.
Might they one day replace doctors or surgeons completely? Should all hospitals rely more on technology than people?
I doubt it. You still need human judgment and compassion to treat people properly.
Thank you, Daniel, for sharing all this with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
CD2, track 21. 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. At the outset, I wish to say that the main aim of my talk today is not to convince you to use various apps our company has come up with, but to offer you an insight into how they work and what options they give you. As you know, we make constant attempts to improve technologies you can download to your smartphones, and we're proud that more and more people are making use of them. Our newest app, which I want to encourage you to have a look at, is absolutely brilliant. It helps you to improve your mood. All you need to do is to take a photo of yourself and send it to the address given. In return, you'll receive advice on what colours to wear, what food to eat, and what's more, it will send you some tunes to cheer you up and to make your endorphins work for you. For an extra fee, the app will send you some jokes and funny video clips. I know it may sound like something redundant in your life, but consider how often you feel low and unable to look on the bright side of life. This app will certainly put a smile back on your face. You won't need expensive pills or sessions at your therapist's. Our next idea is for people who...
2.
I've read a fascinating article recently about some researchers at the University of California who are trying to find ways to read people's minds with machines. I know that humans have been trying to come up with devices like these for ages, but now, apparently, some real progress is being made in this area. These neuroscientists are perfecting a method of translating electrical activity from the brain into comprehensible speech. I just find it extraordinary. I know some people fear that it might lead to abuse, but I reckon it'll help people get on with each other better. I believe people will stop lying or hiding their true feelings. A lot of people worry that others may learn how to manipulate our thoughts, but I think it's highly unlikely. I'm just thrilled with this prospect.
3.
What do you like the most about the internet?
Oh, what a question! It's truly the best invention ever. But were I to give just one reason, I'd go for its social dimension. Young people, especially, are so interconnected, well, at least in my view. I remember one political leader saying that in his opinion, the internet helps people fight against poverty or government decisions they don't agree with.
Yes, sure. But it's certainly more about access to information. You can learn everything with a click of your mouse. It's just amazing.
Well, it's undeniably the greatest source of information ever.
Areas of science and scientists. Anatomy. Anatomist. Archaeology. Archaeologist. Astronomy. Astronomer. Biology. Biologist. Chemistry. Chemist. Computer science. Computer scientist. Ecology. Ecologist. Economics. Economist. Engineering. Engineer. Genetics. Geneticist. Geology. Geologist. Linguistics. Linguist. Mathematics. Mathematician. Meteorology. Meteorologist. Oceanography. Oceanographer. Physics. Physicist. Psychology. Psychologist. Sociology. Sociologist. Statistics. Statistician. Inventions and areas of science and scientists. Aerial. Air conditioning. Battery. Binoculars. Charger. Cordless kettle. Device. Digital camera. Dishwasher. DVD MP3 player. Engine. Hairdryer. Have an influence on. Light bulb. Machine. Microwave oven. Mobile phone. Photocopier. Ready-cooked meals. Remote control. Sat-nav. Tablet computer. Touchscreen. Vacuum cleaner. Video camera. Washing machine. Wireless technology. Scientific inventions and discoveries. Carry out, conduct an experiment. Create. Develop. Development. Discover, discovery. Do an experiment. Do research. Follow instructions. Invent, invention. Keep records of. Lab, laboratory. Make a discovery. Make notes. Predict, prediction. Reach a conclusion. Results. Specialize in. Statistical data. Survey. Vaccine. Analyze, analysis. Clone a cell. Compile statistics. Develop a cure for. Diagnose, diagnosis. Estimate. Evidence. Explore, exploration. Forecast the weather. Hypothesize, hypothesis. Investigate. Investigation. Observe, observation. Prove, proof. Register your invention. Report your findings. Test a theory. Using scientific research. Charge your phone. Dial a number. Press a button. Recharge. Record a program. Replace a light bulb. Send a text message, an email. Set the burglar alarm. Surf the net. Switch on, off the engine. Take a photograph. Turn on, off. Turn up the volume. Type. Adjust. Dispose of old batteries. Ink cartridge. Insert your card. Plug in, unplug. Refer to the manual. Socket. Information using technology. App. Application. Attach a document. Backup files. Browse. Browser. Chat. Click on. Connect to the Internet. Copy. Data. Database. Delete. Download. Upload. Drag. Edit. Enter, key in a password. File. Flash drive. Forward an email. Hard drive. Headphones. Install. Uninstall. Keyboard. Link. Log on. Off. Log on to a website. Loudspeaker. Memory card. Menu. Monitor. Mouse. Mouse mat. Operating system. PC. Personal computer. Post a comment. Laser printer. Reply to an email. Restart a computer. Router. Save. Scan a document. Screen. Select. Send an email. Shut down a computer. Smartphone. Social networking site. Start up a computer. Store data. Toner. Type in a password. Visit a website. Web. Insert a table. Instant messaging. Predictive texting. Spreadsheet. Stream live events. Video call. Video conferencing. Do video conferencing. Word processing. Text information and communication technology. Bold. Bullet. Close. Cut. Font name. Highlight. Icon. Font size. Italics. Minimize. Paste. Print. Redo, undo. Underline. Upper, lower case. Text editor. Break down. Computer virus. Crash. Error message. Freeze. Lose a file. Lose connection. Signal. Out of order. Power cut. Reboot a computer. Recover. Resend. Run down. Run out of. I ran out of time. Set up a PC. Bounce back. Buffer. Hardware. Identity fraud. Protect a password. Server. Software. Technical failures. Attachment. Be addicted to. Be up to date. Best value for money. Be the best value for money. Catch-up TV. Constant lack of time. Depend on. Distant future. Electronic notice board. End up. Futuristic trends. Gasp. Ignore. Interactive exhibition. Make a difference. Nightmare. Realistic. Sharp. Speech. Take over. Turn out. Advancement. Alleviate pain. Alter. Come to rescue. Come up with. Comprehensible. Cutting-edge surgery. Dimension. Kidnap. Offer an insight into. Raise concerns. Restrain. Severe migraine. Smash. Technological advancement. The onset of.
CD2, track 22.
What are you doing, Alan?
I'm finishing my school project on volcanoes. I just need some more information about volcanoes which are still active, and it'll be done. Would you like to have a look?
Sure. Why did you choose to make a presentation about volcanoes in the first place? What's so exciting about them?
Well, you know me. I've always been interested in nature and natural disasters and how they affect human life. As for volcanoes, a month ago or so I watched a TV program about volcanic eruptions, and it made me read up more on this phenomenon. The more I found out about it, the more fascinated I got, and that's all.
I see. So what is so fascinating about volcanoes then?
I don't know where to start because there is so much to know about them. You might be surprised by the fact that some volcanoes take centuries to form, but some grow very quickly, even overnight. Or that the highest volcano in the solar system is on Mars.
That's the first time I've heard that. Anything else?
Plenty. For example, most people only associate volcanic eruptions with destruction without realizing they have beneficial effects. Look at this slide. Here, I've included some information about how necessary volcanoes are for the soil in some parts of the world, where volcanic ash helps farmers grow better crops. The land in those places would become dry and eventually erode if it wasn't for the volcanic ash.
I must admit it's all new to me. Thanks for that. I'll have a look at some websites and let you know when I find out something else about volcanoes.
Thanks.
CD2, Track 23. 1.
I've always had an interest in the weather. I remember that when I was a child, I used to love it when there was torrential rain or a blizzard. Also, I must have been the only child who wasn't scared of thunderstorms. I would watch them through my window and go wow every time lightning struck. So later I decided to learn more about what causes all those changes in the weather and studied meteorology. Actually, I'm still passionate about the subject.
2.
I was never into geography, so I didn't really have much idea about weather forecasting. I understood enough to know what to wear. I never took much interest in things like low front or westerly winds and what that meant for people. It all changed when I grew up. My son, who unlike me had a dream of becoming a meteorologist, kept asking questions which I couldn't answer while we were watching the weather forecast. I began to read up on that, and that's how I got into the subject myself.
3.
My boyfriend's father is an explorer. He goes on all kinds of expeditions very often and usually goes to faraway places. When he comes back, he's full of fascinating stories about different people, cultures, and, what interests me, all kinds of spectacular natural phenomena. He does what I can only read about in books or watch on YouTube. I wish I could go with him on one of these expeditions and see those magnificent views with my own eyes. I've always wanted to do something like that. Maybe one day.
4.
I went to Africa during my last holiday, and on the whole, it was an amazing experience. However, one thing really made me very upset. As a nature lover, I felt worried when I saw huge forest areas being cleared for houses or factories. I understand people and countries want to develop, but couldn't this be done without destroying the natural habitats of so many already endangered species of animals?
CD2, Track 24. 1.
So, have you got a minute? I've finished what I want to include in my comment, and I'd like you to listen and tell me whether it makes sense.
Okay, go on.
So, here goes. As an enthusiast of space exploration, I wish to take part in this online discussion and offer my point of view on the problem. I believe that the people in charge of space exploration had less noble intentions than I'd originally anticipated. It came to light that scientists are paid handsomely by rich business people to come up with space shuttles and space accommodation so that richer individuals could travel to space whenever they want to. It is a money-making initiative and has nothing to do with what space exploration was originally about. I'm totally opposed to this kind of exploitation of the celestial world. We must put a stop to it. And what do you think? How does it sound?
Sounds very serious for a post, but it makes sense.
2.
Come on, why don't you listen to what I'm saying? I told you I'd spoken to the man who knows everything about wind farms and who said how harmful they were to the people living close to them. He mentioned nothing but the disadvantages of having them around us.
That's your point of view based on one man's opinion. I've read a lot about wind farms and most comments were favourable. The communities viewed them as an environmentally friendly source of energy.
You read the comments, and I spoke to a person who is directly affected by the presence of a wind farm, and he says that the noise coming from it is just unbearable. People suffer from headaches and have become terribly irritable.
I guess it's much better than thousands of people burning coal or gas to heat up their houses, isn't it?
Really? You can't be serious. Even if there are any positive aspects, the disadvantages far outweigh the advantages. Can't you see it?
You've made your point very clear, but I'm afraid I don't see eye to eye with you on that.
One day you will, I hope.
3.
I've just read an article about Greenpeace in the paper today. You know, the organisation that tries to protect the environment by direct action. And I think these people are just a bunch of show-offs who want to attract public attention to themselves rather than ecological issues.
Really? I think you misread the intentions of the author. I've read the same article. My understanding is that they use unconventional methods to achieve their goals, and they often succeed, don't they?
As far as I'm concerned, they don't succeed, but get arrested, and all the money that could be used to help environmental causes is spent on getting them out of prison. I believe in more peaceful methods of solving problems.
But sometimes those peaceful methods simply fail, while stunts like theirs work because they hit the headlines and make people aware of things. Well, at least in my opinion. But one thing which no one can deny is that Greenpeace does not accept money from governments or corporations and relies only on donations from people like us. Doesn't that speak in their favour?
I guess so. I didn't know it was like that. Maybe I should read more about their actions so that I can get a fuller picture.
CD2, track 25. 1.
Climbing high in the mountains has always been my passion. I've been doing it for ages now, and I feel experienced enough to climb difficult peaks even in extreme weather conditions. I'd been quite lucky in my life until my trekking expedition last year. I'd never experienced an avalanche, so when it suddenly came, while I was going up the peak, I felt for the first time in my life unable to think straight. It just appeared out of nowhere, and for a moment, I really didn't know what to do, as if I'd forgotten all I'd learned about escaping from an avalanche before. I was overcome by fear and thought I was going to die there. Miraculously, I survived, but I haven't done any climbing since then, which is unusual for a thrill-seeker like me.
2.
Most people are afraid of extreme weather conditions, which often cause more or less serious natural disasters, but not me. I'm a storm chaser, so while the majority of my neighbours run away from an oncoming tornado, I try to follow it and make videos of it. The last time I was chasing a storm, I almost lost my life. I came too close, and the wind overturned my car. Most people would feel scared stiff or hopeless in such a situation, but I was simply excited. I know it's nothing to boast about, and I'm not. I'm just saying that I enjoyed that experience tremendously.
3.
3 years ago, I took my family to South America for a holiday. It had been my dream to visit this part of the world, and I wanted to make it the holiday of a lifetime. My wife and my sons were less keen to go than I was, but in the end, I talked them into the idea. I had really looked forward to going, so when we finally arrived, I felt the luckiest man on earth. However, to my horror, our holiday turned into a nightmare when disaster struck. 2 days into our stay, there was a terrible earthquake. We were lucky not to have died, but what we witnessed was just dreadful.
4.
I work as an aid worker for different charities, so now and again I get sent to different parts of the world to help people in need, usually after some natural disaster. It's an awfully demanding job, which requires you to work under tremendous pressure, but a very rewarding one too. Now I'm in Africa, helping people who have been suffering from drought for over 6 months. My charity is building water wells for the villagers, and I'm responsible for coordinating the food supplies. I feel at home with this task. It isn't the first time I've had to deal with a thing like that. It feels so good to be helping others.
The weather and climate. Autumn. Chilly. Climate. Cloud, cloudy. Degrees Celsius, centigrade. Drop to. Extreme weather conditions. Fall down. Fog, foggy. Forecast. Freezing. Frost, frosty. Humid. Ice, icy. Lightning. Mild. Mist, misty. Rain, rainy. Reach. Rise. Shower, showery. Snow, snowy. Spring. Storm, stormy. Summer. Sun, sunny. Temperature. Thunder, thundery. Thunderstorm. Warm. Weather. Wind, windy. Winter. Baking hot. Bitterly cold. Black ice. Downpour. Drizzle. Dry, hot, cold spell. Gale force wind. Heavy rain. Light breeze. Overcast sky. Scattered showers. Thick fog. Torrential rain. Animals and plants. Branch. Bush. Cut flowers. Dig up. Flower. Fruit. Grass. Leaf, leaves. Mow the lawn. Palm. Plant. Pull up weeds. Root. Seed. Sow. Tidy up the garden. Tree. Trim the hedges. Vegetable. Water the flowers. Petal. Soil. Stem. Thorn. Trunk. twig. Domestic, wild, farm animal. Bat, bear, bird, butterfly, camel, caterpillar, chimpanzee, cow, crocodile, deer, dolphin, duck, eagle, elephant, fish, fox, giraffe, goat, gorilla, hamster, hare, hippo, horse, insect, kangaroo, lion, mammal, monkey, mosquito, owl, parrot, penguin, pig, polar bear, rabbit, reptile, salmon, shark, sheep, snake, swan, tiger, tortoise, trout, whale, wolf, amphibian, badger, beak, bird of prey, coat, dove, feather, fin, fur, hoof, hooves, jellyfish, leopard, lizard, mane, paw, scales, squirrel, turtle, whiskers. Geographical features: beach, canyon, cave, cliff, coast, coral reef, desert, field, forest, hill, island, jungle, lake, landscape, mountain, mountain range, ocean, rainforest, river, riverbank, rock, rocky, sand, sandy, sea, shore, stream, valley, volcano, waterfall. The weather and climate. Acid rain, carbon dioxide, climate change, damage, destroy, destruction, drop, pick up litter, ecological, green issues, environment, environmental problem, extinct, fumes, global warming, greenhouse gases, industry, industrial, melting ice cap, overpopulation, ozone layer, pollute, pollution, rising sea levels, rubbish, waste, smog, smoke, the greenhouse effect, endangered species, energy sources, fly tipping, fossil fuel, landfill site, natural habitat, toxic, environment, animals and plants, ban the use of plastic bags, be green, biodegradable, conserve, conservation, cut down on, develop renewable energy, eco-friendly, face up to, get involved in, give up, increase international cooperation, mess up the whole planet, protect, protection, recycle waste, reduce packaging of products, ran out of, someone ran out of something, solar, wind power, sort out rubbish, strengthen sea defenses, turn off the lights, use up, wildlife conservation, break environmental laws, go through, industrial pollution, pay up, Preserve. Put something down to. Set out new rules. Speed up. Throw away. Unleaded petrol. Natural geographical features. Avalanche. Earthquake. Flood. Heatwave. Hurricane. Tornado. Tsunami. Volcanic eruption. Ash cloud. Blizzard. Drought. Famine. Forest fire. Landslide. Environmental threats. Astronaut. Atmosphere. Black hole. Comet. Galaxy. Manned space mission. Orbit. Outer space. Planet. Rocket. Satellite. Space exploration. Space shuttle. Space station. Star. The Milky Way. The Moon. The Universe. UFO. Jupiter. Mars. Mercury. Neptune. Saturn. The Earth. Uranus. Venus. Other. Environment protection. Affect. Appreciate. Associate with. Behavior. Consequences. Contribute. Convinced. Do your bit. Enormous. In the first place. Indication. Magnificent, spectacular view. Respect. Role. Anticipate. Awfully. Clearly. Controversial. Converge. Extract. Handsomely. Miraculously. Numerous. Originally. Outweigh. See eye to eye with. Terribly. Totally. Tremendously. Undeniable.
CD2, track 26.
Vicky, I'm really impressed by your knowledge of flags. How long have you been interested in them?
Oh, for as long as I can remember. My interest in flags goes back to the time my family lived in Canada. My dad worked in the British Embassy there, and I remember being fascinated by all the different flags in his office. I used to ask him questions about them, and later about the countries themselves.
So you learnt so much thanks to your father, is that right?
Not exactly. My dad was too busy to answer my questions, so he advised me to look for more information in books or online. So I did. I started off with the flags, and then got interested in the history and politics of the countries I was reading about.
This sounds very unusual for a girl who is 13. Girls this age don't usually like politics, do they?
Well, I spent time with people who were discussing politics all the time. The embassy was regularly visited by heads of states, politicians, and economic advisors of all sorts. I was never part of their meetings, of course, but I often heard my dad talking about these visits later on. So frankly speaking, I had no choice but to find out more about the world I was in.
I suppose so. So which is your favourite flag? Well, except the Union Jack, of course.
I guess I'd go for some African ones. They are full of different symbols and their history shows the fight of the Africans to become independent. It's really incredible how much flags can tell you about a nation.
I've never thought of flags in this way. Maybe I ought to find out more about the world's history through flags. It looks like I might get into the subject as well.
Why not?
CD2, track 27. 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to this meeting. The election is only a week away, and you're probably wondering who to vote for. Our party understands that there are a lot of problems the new government will have to face and solve, such as new recycling laws or moral standards represented by our government. But I'm sure you're here to find out how we are going to cope with the financial issues, the budget for the new year, and the tax system. We promise to do our best in these areas because we want you to live comfortable lives in our country. So, first of all,
2.
Most people say that they didn't vote because it was not convenient for them, or they had no time, but my reasons are different. People think I hate politics, but that isn't true. I don't mind politics, as long as politicians make sense when they speak, and don't lie or promise things they don't remember about later on. So I refused to go, because I wanted to show that I'm opposed to what they do.
3.
Don't you think it's time we did something about this problem?
I guess so. The government doesn't seem to care about minority rights. How about organising a protest march in the city centre to make people realise how we feel?
That's probably the only option. I could speak to some charity organisations to see if they want to support the march. What do you think?
Yes, it's a good idea. You know, I sometimes think we should join a party to have more influence.
No thanks. I'd rather do what I do now.
4.
To be honest with you, I can't see any negative sides of globalization. People talk about the fact that the more globalized the world becomes, the more we lose our national identity. But I disagree. Everyone benefits from technology. It allows us to be in touch with the rest of the world. It's not just young people who can travel and work abroad. I don't get people who are critical of globalization. They take advantage of it all the time.
5.
So, what should we work on? I missed what Mrs. Watson said.
We're supposed to make a presentation on the most serious crimes committed by young people in our country.
A bit depressing, isn't it? What can we talk about? Have you got any idea?
I thought we could talk about drug dealing. It's a horrible crime and indirectly leads to many tragedies. Why don't we ask the teacher if it's a good idea? She's in the staff room talking to the head teacher.
Okay, let's do that. And later, we can meet at my place to do it together, right?
Fine.
6.
Why are you drawing the flag of India?
It's part of my school project. We're supposed to talk about a former British territory. I've chosen India, and I want to mention some interesting facts about India's fight for freedom, modern Indian society, and the Indian flag.
The flag? What's so interesting about it? The colours probably symbolise India's independence from Britain, don't they?
Not quite. In fact, the colours represent courage, sacrifice, peace, truth, and justice.
Oh, I see. I thought they were more connected with the independence of India. You never stop learning.
CD2, track 28.
Dad, I have to write an essay about the advantages and disadvantages of globalization. I really don't know how to go about it. I wouldn't be bothering you, but I'm not even sure I understand the idea. I've no clue how to begin. Can you help me?
It's quite a complex issue. Did you learn about it at school?
Yes, we had a couple of boring lectures, followed by class debates, but to be honest, I couldn't figure out what the people were on about. The discussions were about politics, economics, relationships between people, commerce, and even music gigs.
That's because globalization affects all spheres of life. It doesn't only concern big business, but it influences the way we live, from the food we eat to the values we represent.
Really? I was under the impression that globalization was mainly about the spread of technology, international relations, or export-import issues. Why is something as simple as food, or our relationships with other people, affected by globalization?
Well, think about what you eat every day and where it comes from. Is it locally produced and thus supports the local farmers, or does it travel here from faraway lands because it's cheaper and thus supports the economy of another country?
That's an interesting point. I don't really pay attention to where the products I buy come from. Do you and Mum?
We tend to, but it isn't always possible. Local markets are closing down, and the supermarkets sell whatever brings them profits, which I understand but don't support. I wish our local authorities would do more to help the local producers.
I see. And what about relationships?
Traditional family systems are becoming transformed or are under pressure. In many parts of the world, women want greater equality, and it results in all kinds of problems.
But Dad, that's good, isn't it? All people should be equal.
Certainly, but in many corners of the globe, families used to lead more conservative lifestyles, and with the global trends arriving, these lifestyles have been changing. It causes conflicts between men and women. I do agree promoting equality is a desirable trend, but you asked me how globalization affects relationships, so I've just given you an example.
I think I get the point of it now. I'll do some more reading and then try to come up with some ideas for the essay.
Okay, I hope I didn't make it even harder for you. Let me know if you get stuck. I'll give you a hand.
Okay, thanks.
CD2, track 29. 1.
Once when I was in Oxford, I bumped into a famous politician quite by chance. I was browsing through the books in the politics section in a bookshop when he came up and said how unusual it was for a young person like me to be into political matters. We struck up a conversation and he kept asking me about my political views and if I wanted to become a politician. But the funny thing was, I had no interest in politics, and the only reason why I was in that section was that I was trying to find a present for my brother. I wasn't brave enough to admit that to the man, so I pretended I had some plans to start a political career when I graduated.
2.
Most people believe we are who we are because of our roots and the values our family instills in us. Obviously, there's a lot of truth in this, but I think as we grow up, we begin to make sense of this world in our own individual way, and our views change. In my case, this is what happened. I was born into a family who always stuck to traditions and had a very conventional way of thinking. When I became older, I adopted different points of view. My father said that I should be ashamed of myself, but that didn't stop me from searching for the truth and more balanced opinions.
3.
I come from a liberal family who has always believed that people should be free to do whatever they want as long as they respect other people and don't harm them. So when I learnt that our school was about to be visited by a promising young politician with conservative values, I decided to attend the meeting. But I wish I hadn't. I was the only person there with liberal ideas about life, and I'd no chance to express my views properly. Every time I opened my mouth, the others started yelling at me. They were simply uninterested in the other truth. What a shame.
4.
When I was at university, my father thought that I should pursue a career in politics. That was never my desire, but to make him happy, I went to an interview for an assistant at a politician's office. As it turned out, I had little to say, especially when he asked me about the current political and economic situation and what I thought the most burning issues were. My embarrassment was more than I could cope with, so I left his office without saying goodbye, which was even more childish. I told my father what had happened, and he was really furious. I have no regrets, though, because I know politics is definitely not for me.
State structure and offices. Anthem. Authorities. Border. Cabinet. Capital. Citizen. City Council. Congress. Conservative. Constitution. Debate an issue. Democracy. Democratic. Local general election. Eligible to vote. Embassy. Fight, stand for an election. Flag. Give a press conference. Government. Govern. Head of state. Home country. Homeland. National identity. Independent. Independence. King. Kingdom. Left wing, right wing. Liberal. Majority. Manifesto. Mayor. Member of Parliament, MP. Minister. Minority. Monarchy. Nation. National. Opposition. Parliament. Centre Party. Party member. Pass a law. Policy. Political party. Politician. Politics. Polling station. Population. President. Prime Minister. PM. Queen. Re-elect. Reform. Representative. Republic. Royal family. Senate. Socialist. State. Term. The House of Commons. The House of Lords. The House of Representatives. The people. Vote for. Win an election. Carry out reforms. Cause a scandal. Chancellor of the Exchequer. Civil servant. Constituency. Deputy Prime Minister. Electorate. Form a coalition. Get bad press. Honour a promise. Leak information. Legislation. Run for office. Serve a term. Spin doctor. International and social organizations. International Monetary Fund, IMF. Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, OPEC. The European Union, EU. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO. The United Nations, UN. The United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF. The World Health Organization, WHO. The World Trade Organization, WTO. The Worldwide Fund for Nature, WWF. Communicable diseases. Encourage economic growth. Financial resources. Formation. Have origins in. Headquarters. Domestic and international conflicts. Armed forces. Bomb. Civil war. Civilian. Demonstrate. Demonstration. Domestic conflict. Explode. Fighting. Foreign affairs. International. Invade. Invasion. Military intervention. Petition. Protest march. Rebellion. Riot. Soldier. Surrender. Terrorist. Terrorism. Violent. Violence. War. Weapons of mass destruction. World peace. Rubber bullets. Send in, withdraw troops. Sign a treaty. Uprising. Water cannons. State structure and offices. Break into. Break the law. Burglary. Burglar. burgle. Criminal. Drug dealing, drug dealer. Hacking, hacker. Kidnapping, kidnapper, kidnap. Kill, killer. Mugging. Murder, murderer. Petty crime. Rape, rapist. Robbery, robber. Shoplifting, shoplifter. Stealing. Theft, thief. Vandalism, vandal. Arson, arsonist. Assassinate, assassination, assassin. Blackmail, blackmailer. Bribery, bribe. Hostage. Manslaughter. Pickpocketing, pickpocket. Piracy, pirate. Ransom. Smuggling, smuggler. Stalk, stalker, stalking. Victim. The just international and social organizations. Accuse of. Alibi. Arrest for. Ban from. Be against the law. Charge with. Community service. Court. Crime rate. Defense, defend. Detective. Eyewitness. Find someone guilty, innocent of. Fine for. Go to court. Illegal. Imprisonment. Investigate, investigation. Judge. Jury. Lawyer. Offender. Prosecutor, prosecution, prosecute. Report a crime. Sentence to. Suspect. Suspect of. Trial. Death penalty. Evidence. Jail. Give a verdict. In the dock. Keep in custody. Life sentence. Testify. Social, domestic and international conflicts. Charity. Disability. Discriminate, discrimination. Emigrate, emigration. equality. Homeless, homelessness. Human rights. Immigrant, immigrate, immigration. Opinion poll. Poverty. Racism. Refugee. Religion. Social issue. Survey. Unemployed, unemployment. Freedom of speech. Live below the breadline. Redistribution of wealth. Sheltered accommodation. Crime. Catch up. Economics. Economy. Fall behind with. Fall, drop. Finance, financial. Free market. Fund. Get into, pay off debt. Go bankrupt, bankruptcy. Go without luxuries. Income. Live on a budget. National debt. Repay. Rise, increase sharply. Take out a loan. Tax. Crash. Currency. Downturn. Drop in value. Exchange rate. Financial markets. Go into, come out of recession. Inflation. Interest rates. Long-term investment. Outlook. Plummet. Prosperity. Shares. The stock market. Other. The justice system. Be a real pain. Be eager to do something. Concern. Give someone a hand. Global, globalization. Greedy. Pile. Put up with something. Race. Set up an organization. Tiny. At an alarming rate. Be under the impression. Browse through books. Burning issue. Come up with an idea. Deterrent. Have no clue. In the long term. Instill values in. Pursue a career. Stick to traditions. Tap into someone's need. Would-be pop star.
CD2, track 30. 1.
I'm so happy we decided to buy a cottage in this area. It's such a lovely place to live in. We chose it because we used to spend our holidays here some time ago, and we fell in love with the place. It's very peaceful here, and the views are just stunning. The only problem is few bus or train connections to the city, but apart from that, everything is the way it should be. We're never bored here, and we don't want to move anywhere else.
2.
Before I came here, I'd thought that the place was going to be my dream destination. I expected there would be plenty to do here, but in fact, there's only one restaurant and that's it. The other attractions haven't opened yet because it's not the season, so I really feel like going back home. There's nothing to do here. What a disastrous holiday.
3.
I think this holiday was the worst nightmare of my life. The town where we were staying was dirty and unsafe, so we didn't feel like sightseeing. Instead, we decided to go on trips to other places. However, the most annoying thing was that every time we left on a trip, the coach would break down or run out of petrol. Once, it even had a flat tire. I guess we were just unlucky.
4.
So, when we get to our final destination, we're going to check in first and then have lunch in the hotel. The journey will take us about 5 hours, and we're planning to stop twice on the way at service stations. I'll be serving drinks and snacks in about half an hour, so please choose what you'd like to have from our menu. We remind you that this is a non-smoking service. We hope you'll enjoy travelling with us and that we won't have to face much traffic. Thank you for your attention.
CD2, track 31.
You know what? I wish people wouldn't judge others by their appearance.
What brought this about so out of the blue, Julie?
I'm cross with my boss for not employing a really friendly-looking girl on the basis that she was too short to work in a boutique. Obviously, he didn't tell her that, inventing some other excuse instead, like the lack of proper qualifications, but I know it was his main reason. We really need another shop assistant, and she looked like a suitable candidate to me.
I've heard that tall people always make better impressions on employers, and statistically speaking, they get employed or promoted more often. So I guess your boss thought likewise. I'm not saying that the taller you are, the more successful you are, but some people do believe so. Of course it isn't fair, but people can't help relying on first impressions, can they?
Fair enough, but you form your opinion about other people judging by more than their height. Surely, it doesn't matter how tall you are when you work in a shop. This isn't a basketball team.
You're right, but your boss may have thought that the girl wouldn't look like a fashion model, and that's the image he wants his shop to have. You sell top brands and you're supposed to wear them so that the customers can see them. Just look at you. You probably got the job because you're tall and pretty.
Don't be ridiculous. Don't forget I have the right qualifications. Well, on second thoughts, perhaps I was taken on because of my looks. I'd hate it if it was true, though. It'd be unethical, wouldn't it?
I agree. Maybe you should talk to your boss and express your concern. You said he's approachable enough.
Yes, he is, but I never question his decisions. Maybe I should find the courage to do it. I might find a minute tomorrow.
I'll keep my fingers crossed.
Thanks.
CD2, track 32.
Vernadsky was born in 1863. Although he was born in St. Petersburg and graduated from the university there in 1885, his father was a native of Kiev. After graduating, he specialized in mineralogy, prompted by his interest in how chemical reactions played an important part in the formation of the Earth and of the life on it. He had access to some of the latest equipment and laboratories of the time, and he travelled to Italy and to Germany to carry out research into the properties of crystals. He was among the first to recognise the link between atmospheric gases and biological processes. Many scientists before this had thought that the Earth's atmosphere was somehow fixed. His work in this field made him a pioneer of what we now call environmental science. Vernadsky was the first president of the Ukrainian Academy of Sciences in Kiev and was also an early proponent of nuclear power. He died in 1945.
CD2, track 33.
Nadia, tell us about Space Route 66.
Teams taking up the challenge had to come up with a game or some sort of virtual reality experience looking at a spaceport of the future.
You mean a spaceport, as in an airport for spacecraft?
Exactly. And, as such, it needs to take into account the vertical takeoff of rockets, as well as the horizontal takeoff used by other craft, and, of course, spacecraft that haven't been thought of yet.
I see.
The design also had to include the airport facilities you normally find. But, not only that, a futuristic spaceport would also be a place where training and vehicle maintenance and, possibly manufacture, takes place.
So they really did need to see into the future. What did you mean about a game? You mentioned that at the start. Did they have to design a game?
That was one of the options. The challenge said that the game could be online, so that people who joined in could add their own buildings or spaceships to the spaceport. People could upload pictures of their designs to social media.
So others could comment?
Yes. Another option was to create a virtual tour of an existing spaceport. Others could add their own vision of future developments.
So, really, if you're using social media for this, it's almost the opposite of the secret designs of the past.
Absolutely. Anyone can join in with these challenges, and anyone could possibly help shape our future.
CD2, track 34.
Today we're going to talk about the 2016 Space Apps Challenge, organised by NASA. What kind of challenge was this?
Well, it was related to the planned trips to Mars. It's not going to be long before we travel there, and so the challenge was to explore the surface of the planet, bearing in mind that there are some pretty extreme conditions there.
So the challenge was to design some kind of vehicle?
Not in the way most people understand it. Not with wheels. It's a bit more complicated than that. You see, it had to be portable, so it had to be a kind of jetpack that you wear on your back.
I see. Were there any other conditions?
Yes. Because of the distance of Mars from the Earth, there's a problem carrying fuel for these expeditions. So a condition was that the fuel had to be produced locally, in other words, on Mars. And of course, it would need to power the engine enough to lift and transport the operator.
And I understand the winners of this particular challenge come from Ukraine, is that right?
That's right. Their design, the Mars Hopper, won the People's Choice Award. One of the team members, Alexander Butkalyuk, said that he hoped the design would be adopted, and he felt sure that Ukraine had the technology to make it happen.
So did the team have to build a jetpack?
It was more important that they could prove that it could be done. So they had to design an app that would act as a kind of flight simulator and would take into consideration the conditions on Mars.
And how did they get round the fuel issue?
They designed a jetpack that runs on carbon dioxide. This would be collected on the surface of Mars, there's plenty of it, and used for each flight. Basically, it could refuel every time it landed.
Sounds impressive.
Yes. They made calculations regarding energy consumption to demonstrate that it could be done. They also included details of flight conditions on Mars. Most of this was done on a computer, but they did actually build a working model too.
To prove that it can be done.
That's right.
Well, we don't have too long to wait to see if it's used, do we?
No, we don't know exactly when, but the first manned trip to Mars is not too far away.
Exciting stuff. Thank you for coming in to talk to us.
My pleasure. CD2, track 35.
You want to know what I consider typically Australian. Well, I'm a Brit, so my ideas may differ from those of a real Aussie, but I guess I could try. I've been living in Sydney for the last 10 years, so I have some idea, I suppose.
Exactly. Your idea number 1, please.
Well, apart from the usual things such as kangaroos or koala bears, I'll go for Ugg boots.
A good idea because I have no clue what they are.
Yes, you do. They've become extremely popular recently all over the world, but were originally worn only in Australia and New Zealand as slippers and later as outdoor boots. Look at the picture.
Oh yes. Why do they have such a strange name?
Some people say that Ugg comes from ugly. The boots were considered ugly by many people, and at one point they were even banned. So teenagers wore them as a sign of rebellion.
Interesting. Any famous Australians?
I'm 18, so for me the most recognisable Aussie is Cody Simpson, a pop and R&B singer. He's very young but promising. His albums and singles have won some prizes, and he gives concerts all over the world, which is something for a person from down under.
Okay. Any typical food?
I'd definitely mention Vegemite, which apparently you can find in 90% of Australian homes. It's a brown yeast paste used as a sandwich spread. It's similar to our British Marmite, but less salty and bitter, I guess. People often have it on toast with some cheese, lettuce or avocado. Most foreigners find its taste pretty strange, though.
Oh yes, I agree totally. And as for sports, anything typically Australian?
I'd say cricket and rugby are the most popular, but for me, the greatest sports event in this part of the world is the Australian Open, held in Melbourne every January. I love this Grand Slam tournament because almost every year a new tennis star is discovered and there's a surprise victory like in January 2014. Stanislav Wawrinka defeated Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal to win his first Grand Slam title.
That's right. And finally, something about Australian English.
Well, Australians have a different accent and they use some different vocabulary and grammar structures as well as spelling rules. Their everyday language is sometimes called Strine, spelt S-T-R-I-N-E. Some examples of Australian English have made it into British English, such as Barbie for barbecue.
Thank you, Steve, for all this information.
You're welcome.
CD2, track 36. 1.
What are the capital cities of Australia and New Zealand?
2.
Which city hosts the Australian Open?
3.
Which fashion item is an Australian invention?
4.
What does mozzie mean?
5.
What do we call the native people of New Zealand?
6.
Who is the most famous New Zealand film director?
7.
What do we often call people from Australia and people from New Zealand?
8.
What is another name for Australian English?
CD2, track 37.
So, Olivia, you love dancing, and from what I gather, you know a lot about various dance styles. Is it true that in your dancing career, you've had the opportunity to perform dances from all over the world?
Yes, I have. I try to be as versatile a dancer as possible. And what's more, it's exciting for me to get to know traditional dances from other parts of the world. Recently, we've been working on a traditional Canadian folk dance called Metis dance. The name comes from the Aboriginal tribe in Canada, and the main instrument is the violin. I really love this rhythmic dance.
Any other favourites?
Oh yes, Irish dancing for example. I'm particularly keen on Cayley dancing. It's very fast and quite complex, but really enjoyable. We can dance Cayley in groups of up to 16, so you can imagine how spectacular it looks when such a big group synchronizes their movements really well.
CD2, track 38.
You aren't going to believe me. Now we're learning the haka, a traditional Maori dance.
You're joking. I thought it's only performed by the New Zealand team at rugby matches.
That's what most people think, and it's true to some extent, but we want to learn at least one dance from each of the English-speaking countries, so we chose the haka.
Oh, I see. What exactly is this dance about?
It's a traditional ancient Maori dance that the tribe used to perform on the battlefields. The purpose of this dance was to show the tribe's pride and power, so the performance included and still includes a lot of foot stomping, body slapping, and loud chanting. Today, the haka is danced during Maori ceremonies to honor guests or highlight the importance of the event, so that's why it's a tradition at rugby matches. This war dance is also taught at schools, so we thought we could have a go as well. It's fun dancing it.
How unusual for girls to learn the dance of tribal soldiers.
Unusual is the word here. The more original, the better for me.
CD2, track 39. 1.
Which city do the Beatles come from?
2.
Which genre of music is New Orleans famous for?
3.
Where does the Venda drum come from?
4.
What type of instrument is the didgeridoo?
5.
Apart from reggae, what other music is Jamaica famous for?
6.
Where does mento come from?
7.
When is the haka performed most often?
8.
Which country is the Cayley associated with?
CD2, track 40. Get 200, exam preparation course for Ukraine. By Linda Edwards and Marta Rosinska, with contributions from Malcolm Mann and Stephen Taylor Knowles. Published by Macmillan Education, a division of Macmillan Publishers Limited. Copyright 2016.